Welcome to this last video entitled Your First Group Meeting. Congratulations, you've made it through the other resources on the new Small Group Leader Kit. And so this is the last one, and we're going to talk about in this video is how to prepare for your first meeting. What are some tips and some things that you might want to consider in planning your meeting? I'm going to give you an outline, but you don't have to exactly stick to it. These are just some suggestions on some good things that probably you need to go over in your first meeting, and just some suggestions based on experience of myself and also other group leaders. And so just remind you, there is a handout for this video, and there also is a handout for the small group covenant. So I encourage you to find those there. But let's begin with our outline for our first meeting. Welcome everyone to the group, and pass out the class roll. Everybody has the opportunity to record their email address and phone number on that. You might already have everybody's information, so you might not need that, but it's a good thing to do, to go ahead and pass that around, because once you might get some updated information, but also too, as other new group members come to your group, and you're going to need to get that information from them, so it'll be good to pass that out at the beginning, so everybody has the same process for doing that. And so it's a good way to get that going and to lay that foundation in your group for handling that. The second thing is to begin with an icebreaker question. Have a good icebreaker question ready, and just to remind you that the importance of icebreaker questions is to give opportunity for everybody to talk. And so you want a question that everybody can answer, and also do that in a fun way. I suggested the one, what name would you choose for yourself other than the one you were given? The purpose of that would be that somebody can just simply say what name that they would really like to have, even though it's not their regular name. For instance, I would say I would want the name, I always wanted to have the name Bobby, but my name is Warren Weeks. And so I have answered the question and also told you my name. And so it kind of, if you just say, everybody just introduce yourself, well, one person might go and tell everything about themselves, and the next person feels like they have to do that too, or they feel embarrassed because all they wanted to do was just say their name. And so by having an icebreaker question ready for that process, you help guide the discussion and help lead the group and give everybody an opportunity to talk and get to know one another. Then the next thing is I think it's good for you to share why you wanted to start a group. Share your journey up to this point. Why you wanted to start this group. Maybe what you've gotten out of the training. What you wanted to accomplish. It could be something as simple as you just wanted to grow in your discipleship and wanted a group of people to come along the journey with you. I mean, that's nothing wrong with that. Or you could be, you wanted to minister or disciple a specific age group, or maybe you wanted to help couples in their marriage and you wanted to do this marriage study, so you're starting a small group just to accomplish that. Whatever it is, share with your journey of how you got to the point of feeling the Lord leading you to start in a small group and be a small group leader. And so take some time to do that. Then I want you to pass out and go over the group covenant. Be sure and go over each line, because each line is important. Each part of the group covenant is important. And I just really encourage you to do that, because it gives you something to go back to when you hit those bumps in the road in group life down the road. You can always come back to the group covenant and say, hey, as a group, we agreed to this, so this is why we need to stay focused in this area, or this is why we need to be sure we respect each other's feelings and questions, and this is why we're doing this ministry project together, because we committed to try to do ministry and to encourage one another and participating and being a part of that. And so I encourage you to go over that, and at the end of the video we'll go over that group covenant just a little bit more. Then I would ask, after going over the group covenant line by line, ask, is there anything else that needs to be added to the covenant? For example, some considerations would be that maybe y'all had agreed to do childcare, and so everyone is going to take a turn keeping the children. And so, you might want to add that extra line to the group covenant, and everybody writes that in. And then after all those things are done, have everybody sign it and date it. Now, you're not going to, I really wouldn't take those up so you can, beat them over the head with that later, so to speak. But I guess that's what I'm trying to say is have everybody sign it, because it reminds them of the commitment they made. And so then, like I said, when you have problems down the road, you can always go back and say, hey, remember we signed the group covenant together, and this is what we said we're going to do, and this is why we're doing this in our small group and what we're trying to accomplish here. And so I think it's an important step, and I encourage you to do that. After the group covenant, if there's any of the 5 questions you remember from the video, the 5 questions, the group leader has to decide a lot of that, but some of the questions can be left open to the group, depending upon your schedule and what you're trying to accomplish with your group. And so I encourage you to answer those questions at this time after the group covenant meets. And then talk about, the next thing is to talk about what the group is going to study. If there's curriculum, books to pass out, or handouts, or any sort of thing, now's the time to pass those out. Go over if there's a slight introduction or a small introduction for your next study. This would be the great time to do that. Go over that. You might even go over lesson number 1, how it's laid out in the book if there's curriculum involved. And so what are they supposed to do in preparation to come next week for lesson 1? And so this is the best time to talk about that. And then finally, who does what for next meeting. Make any assignments that you need to make, or ask for volunteers. For example, maybe there's somebody wanted to volunteer for refreshments, or somebody, if you're having childcare, who's going to keep the children, be in charge of childcare next week. And then also maybe even a question about you could assign somebody, hey, how about somebody leading, writing down the prayer request and leading prayer next week at the end of the lesson. And so all those things are assignments you can make. You don't need to do all the work yourself, but as you involve others, this last time will be a great time to kick off that as you prepare for your next meeting. I would, at the end of this meeting, I would have a closing prayer. Maybe you want to take some prayer requests, closing prayer, and just commit the group to the Lord of what you want to accomplish, what you want to see Him do in and through your lives as you grow together in discipleship. Then after the closing prayer, I would have refreshments and just spend some time getting to know one another. If people had a specific question for you, they could come up and ask you personally during this time. But as a group leader, it's a great time for you to get to know one another and have a chance to talk. So your first group meeting is important. I think by doing it this way, you get off to a good start, and then you begin your curriculum study next week, and usually those materials guide you through that. And so you have a pathway to go once you get past this first meeting. But the first meeting is important for everyone to get to know one another, what your group is about, and where you're headed as a group. I just want to take a time at the end of this video to go over the small group covenant. Let me grab one here. Small group covenant, and just I really encourage you to go over each line of it. You don't have to give a long explanation for each thing, but I just think it's important that we go over it with the group, and I just want to go over it with you now. This is our small group covenant. We all agree to follow these ground rules. First one is priority. While we are in this group, we will give the group meetings priority. And so I encourage you to encourage your group members, to make these meetings important. You're expecting them to come. You're expecting them to be there. We've all agreed on the day. We've all agreed on the time. And so it reminds them that, this group should be a priority in their lives, and they should be there as much as they can be, and make an important part of their schedule each and every week, or however often your group meets. The next thing is participation. Everyone is encouraged to participate, and no one dominates. You don't want anyone to just dominate the conversation in your group, but also, too, you don't want anybody to not participate at all. So everybody's encouraged to participate, and and to share with the group, and so to be a part of the learning together. And it just reminds them that that's an expectation of the group. Respect. Everyone is given the right to answer to his or her own opinions, and all questions are encouraged and respected. That just reminds the group members that we're not going to judge people for their answers to the questions or what they say. We're going to respect all that and respect their opinions, and it's a good reminder of that. Confidentiality. Anything that is said in our meetings is never repeated outside the meeting without permission. We're not going to talk about one another outside of the group, and so what we say here stays here, and that's important for everybody to remember, and everybody to be sure they understand and be willing to agree to it. Life change. We will regularly assess our progress towards becoming an authentic community. We will complete any personal activities to reinforce what we are learning and better integrate those lessons into our lives. They're making a commitment to be a disciple, and so they're making a commitment to do the work outside of class that's necessary in order to grow, in order to be prepared to come to the group each and every week. And so I encourage you to as a group leader, remind them about that throughout because they're agreeing to that here in the covenant, but also it reminds them they're going to be active participants in what you're studying and what you're trying to learn. Care and support. Permission is given to call one another at any time, especially in times of crisis. The group will provide care for every member. One of the great things about small groups is we care for one another. And so this just reminds us we're making a commitment to that, and commitment to care and take care of one another in the group. Accountability. We agree to let members of our group hold us accountable to commitments we make in whatever leveling ways we decide on. Unsolicited advice giving is not permitted. And so we're we're holding each other accountable for the commitments we make. And so we're not going to get offended when someone asks us the very next week about our commitment that we made last week, how we're doing in that, or something that maybe we asked prayer for them to ask us about. We're not going to be offended by that, and so we're encouraged, and we're going to try to hold each other accountable to the commitments we make together as a group. Empty chair. Our group will work together to fill the empty chair with an unchurched person or couple. I realize that some groups are full, and so because if it's so many people in your house, but it reminds us that there is even though maybe our group cannot grow, and some groups are small and they need more members, and so we're always thinking about the empty chair. It's an important concept because when we talk about adding groups and multiplying groups at church, we need people willing to do that, and so if we always keep the mentality that there's people out there that we need to reach with the gospel, we need to reach for discipleship, and so we need to always remind ourselves of the empty chair, whether your group is full or not. Finally, mission. We agree as a group to reach out and invite others to join us and to work towards multiplication of our group, to form new groups. Always encourage your member. Our mission is to reach more people for Christ, and so we always need to have that mindset of, maybe God is calling you to lead another group to reach people that God's laid on your heart. And so that's our mission and our purpose. And finally, ministry. Will encourage one another to volunteer and serve in a ministry and to support missions work by giving financially and or personally serving. And so you're telling them that our group is about ministry and ministering not only to just one another, but also serving together in different projects that come up or different ways we can find to serve. And so we are going to do that together as a group. And if you can't participate, maybe you can give financially towards the group doing that. And so I just encourage you to think about the group covenant. I think it's important. You'll see it listed there as one of our resources, and use it with your group. Now, this order that I've given here on this outline can be modified or changed or do it however you want to. It's just a suggestion based, like I said, based on experience of myself and also other group leaders of how maybe you want to plan your first meeting to get off to a good start, so when you begin curriculum or whatever you're going to study, you're ready to go, because everybody knows each other, what to expect of the group, and also they can make a decision about committing to being there and being an active participant in your small group. Hope this helps. Like I said, congratulations. You've made it all through our video training for new small group leaders. And again, if I can help you in any way answer any questions that you may have, or help you deciding any sort of things that you need to decide to get your group off to a great start, please feel free to contact me. My contact information is at the bottom of this handout for this video, and be glad to talk to you about that. We're excited that as a church that you're getting ready to launch your group, and so we just are so excited for you to begin this ministry of small group ministry leading.